Recently I got myself 3 new Vaxis circular filters for the Tilta Mirage Matte Box, and together with one I got before, I got 4 now. I would like to share my first impressions with the system with so many circular filters. So let's dive together and see what are the pros and cons. And as always, I bought this with my own money, so this is totally independent review. If you want to contribute because you find this review helpful, you can buy these filters via affiliate link, which is in description down below. Before I got this 1.8 pure mist filter, and now I also got 1.8 black mist, 0.6 ND, which is 2 stops, 1.2 ND, which is 4 stops. Why I even got the ND filters when I got the variable ND from Tilta? The problem with the Tilta one is that there is a cross pattern which shows in a footage from around 5 stops, and for the outside shots in most cases you need 6 or more stops if you shoot 24 or 25 frames per second, which means that VND is not very useful, especially midday. Also, some people reported that there is a color cast to the VND, and there is a color cast to some extent, but some people report that this is very pronounced. I can see there is some color cast, so I tested this and we'll come back later to the topic, but might be the case there is a variation and it varies from copy to copy, so maybe some copies got more of the color cast, some got less. I know it's not very pronounced, but it's there, and I checked some reviews for the Vaxis and these, and it seems there is no color cast, so that's the 2 main reasons. One is the color cast, second one is the cross pattern. And since I got 2 stages in my Tilta Mirage, then I can install with my double and single side trays, I can install 3 circular filters at once, and if I got another double-sided tray I can install 4. But at the moment, having 2 and 4 stops of ND, I can install 2, 4 and 6 using 1 tray, and here I can install either pure mist or black mist. But since sometimes you need more than 6 stops of ND, then I would probably also get 6, and that way I would be able to get 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 12 stops with 3 filters combined together, so it would be much more flexible. But at the moment I got 2 and it is plenty enough in most situations. I got pure mist before because the black mist hasn't been available in Poland before, now it's available, so I got it also, and I think I prefer black mist over pure mist. And in a second there would be example footage which is shot both inside and outside, and it's shot without any mist filter, with pure mist and with black mist. There will be 6 shots, and let me know down in the comments how many shots you got correctly, because actually the 1.8 effect is very subtle, so sometimes it's hard to guess. I guess the biggest hint is how the highlights are blooming, and I guess you can judge on that, and the highlights bloom the most with the pure mist. So how I checked if there is any color cast or how much stops are in each ND. I have shot this wall behind me without the filter, then installed the filter and lowered the shutter speed twice for 2 stops ND, and you can see that exposure changed a bit, so it's a bit higher, which means that this filter is not exactly 2 stops, or the shutter speed of the A6600 is not very accurate. If we consider the shutter speed is correct, then it means it is a bit less than 2 stops. And to see if there is any color cast, I have to move this to the line to see if they line up or not. And for 4 stops, you can clearly see that exposure is lower, which means that the filter got more than 4 stops of ND. It's like 4.5 probably, something like that. And for VND, it was on the lowest setting, so around 2 stops, and it's more or less the same, but also you can see on the parade that exposure or the whole scene changes a bit, and I'd say there is some color cast to the picture. Based on the parade, it seems like the blue color is actually cut out, but we can see this by adjusting. So here on the original, when I adjust the exposure, we can see that red and green are on the same level, and it's a bit more blue in the scene because there's a gray wall, so it's kind of bluish. Then with 2 stops, if we adjust this, then with 2 stops, there is some change to the exposure, and I think also that blue color is cut a bit. There is a very slight color cast to the single 2 stops ND, it seems. How does it look for 4 stops? Yeah, seems it's the same case, that this moves a bit. And what about the VND? And seems that VND is cutting the blue mostly and also impacts a bit other colors. There is a more of the color cast for the VND. Yeah, so comparing the VND to other two, like you can see that the blue is almost moving below this line. You can see the color cast with the naked eye, even without watching the scopes or waveform. But also, since the VND got a polarizer, I think there is some impact from the polarizer, especially when I'm shooting the sky. The sky got different colors than shot with ND filters. It is like a sharpening effect for the sky, and the blue color of the sky is a bit different, so it depends what you want. But I'd say the NDs are better choice because almost doesn't impact the color, but VND impacts the color much more, as you can see here. So each of the filters comes in a pouch like that. They seems to be real leather, and then in each pouch there is a felt like inside, and each filter comes in soft plastic bag, which I think is a good way to store it. It's not sure this felt is soft enough. And the quality of the pouches is not bad, although it's not like very premium. And the label says it's made in China. So is it enough to transport this like that? Probably if you got a hard case, but together with Tilta Mirage, you got this filter pouch, and actually this fits like a glove. So you can put them all in and still close this, although there is a place for another two, not sure you can close this with 6 of these pouches. And if you got them installed here, then it's quite hard to put the trays or circular VND, because then it wouldn't close. So if you got that many circular feeders, you probably need 2 pouches like that. But I guess I would prefer to transport them in the trays, because it would be faster to install them than taking out of the pouch and installing in the tray and then installing tray into the MatteBox. What are the pros of this circular design over the rectangular ones, which are very popular and they are used by professionals? I guess 2. First one is the price. Each of these circular filters cost around $60, and if you want to buy rectangular filter, either 4x4 or 4x465, 4x5, the price for single filter is around $150. for good quality one, and for worse quality filters they start around $100, but you may regret such buy. And also they weigh like 3 times more than circular filters, so your rig is much heavier than with the circular ones. And I guess the handling is also easier with this, because the rectangular ones are quite big and it's hard to grab them with your hand without leaving the fingerprints. It is more or less the same with the circular ones, but I guess it's easier to mount them to the trays. So if you want to install the filter from the pouch to the tray, you have to open the magnetic latches, squeeze the bag from the sides, get the filter out with the bag, and then drop the filter out to your palm and grab it by the edges. It is not that hard to not leave the marks, and then you have to get the tray, put it on the lip of a tray, open the latch and release the latch, and it is installed and cannot fall down. And then to remove it, you have to move it upside down and do the same, like drop it into your hand, and you got it removed. So it's not that hard. But what I found is the small cone, which is quite annoying. Not sure it's visible, but the edges of the ND filters are like stormy ocean. It is not evenly cut. There are some bumps and valleys, and sometimes it's quite hard to mount them into the tray, because if you line the mountains and valleys not properly, then you cannot close the latch. It is not the case with pure mist and black mist. With both NDs there are some mountains and valleys on the edge, so sometimes it's quite hard to install them, especially on this diagonal side of the double-sided tray. But it's not very annoying, although it's harder to install NDs than mists, because the shape is not perfectly round. Let me check how easy it is to install and how fast you can install the filter from the pouch into the tray and then into the MatteBox. Looks like it took around 20 seconds, 21, but as you can hear, the filter does not lock every time correctly, so you have to either push the latch or reinstall the filter. It's due to the shape, since it is not perfectly round. And for example, in the second tray there is a no play, but it might be annoying if your filter rings like that when you move your camera and you shoot something, so you have to check before installing the tray if there is any sound and any rattling to the filter or not. I have found another con which was a surprise. There is this clamping mechanism. If you don't want to use the MatteBox, you can clamp on the tray with this clamping mechanism and install the filters directly onto the lens. So you got like 3 mounting points here to install this clamp, and together they create something like that, and you can clamp this onto your lens. But I just found out that this double-sided tray does not have these mounting holes, so you cannot mount 2 filters at the same time using this 2-sided tray. It's quite of the bummer, I'd say, because I cannot use the clamp to mount 2 ND filters at once. I have to use the MatteBox. It would be also nice if you want to use ND and mist filter, so I'd say it's a very big bummer. Then you cannot use the clamp with double-sided tray. Maybe there would be upgrade and there would be double-sided tray with mounting holes, but at the moment you cannot install 2 filters with the clamp. So each of these filters is around 60 to 65 bucks, and you can also get them in sets. And for example, there is a sets of each mist filters, so 1/8, 1/4 and half, and the same for black mist. And for the set you save around 20 bucks. It seems like a good deal, but I'm not sure you can use half mist filter very much because it's very pronounced. But if you want that really hard blooming effect, then yes, the set is a way to go. It's cheaper in the end than buying each pure or black mist separately. There are also sets for IRNDs, and there is one with 2, 4 and 7 stops, and there is also one with 1, 2, 3 or 4 stops, and then if you combine them you can get more stops. So depends how many trays and stages are in your Tilta Matte Box. So I guess 2, 4 and 7 is a sweet spot, and I would probably buy this set now instead of buying separately, but it was quite hard to get any of these in Poland, so I bought the ones which were available with quite short shipping time. So do I like the system? I'd say yes. I think it's better than mounting the rectangular filters, unless you're planning to use really big cinema lenses which are bigger than 95mm, then it have no sense. But for anything which is below 95, so most of the photographic lenses and also cheap cine lenses, I think is a way to go, and I quite like it because you get a big range of filters. There are also effect filters, there is plenty of ND filters, and also a lot of options for mist filters. And you can combine them with the Tilta Matte Box, and you can mount 4 of circular filters at once, which is quite good. And also you can mount the 5th rectangular filter with the setup I got. So I guess the constant IRNDs are a better choice if you want more correct color mapping. If you do not care about this color cast from VND, then the VND is much more flexible, although there is also this annoying cross pattern which starts from 5 stops. So I would probably stop using VND in most cases, especially shooting outside, and I would stick with ND filters, because in most cases when you got a kind of constant lighting, you can compensate with the exposure in a camera, like within plus and -1 stop. It's not a problem, but you don't have this cross pattern with this IRNDs. But generally I like this system, and I would probably get another ND filter and maybe 1/4 mist next month, and I would say that that would be my whole setup. I don't like this fake streaks, filters and stuff like that, but maybe for fun I would get one. And also you should be aware that if you install 2 stages on some lenses, you got vignetting starting from 24mm, but it depends of the design of the lens. For example, I do not have a problem on this 16mm on APS-C, which is 24 in full frame terms, but the problem starts from for this Samyang 12mm if I got 2 stages installed. With 1 stage it is all fine. With 2 stages you can see slight vignetting in the corners. So that's it. I hope you find this helpful, and cheers.